I took a little snack break, had a little bit of lunch. I'm ready. Am I ready? I don't know. I feel ready. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. But here comes the reunion. Now I actually in the last video that I filmed was like, I don't know how long it's been, but a lot of things could be answered if I just wasn't so scared of ruining the surprise and spoilers. Apparently, it has been a year and a half since the show filmed. I do not know, however, if they have seen the show. Like, I know it's been a year and a half, but I don't know how long. Like, I don't know if it's filmed after it actually is released or what. I broke my nail horribly. Can you see this? It's like split right down the middle. That's awful. But I'm going to try to fix it. Like, so that it doesn't peel down further. Okay, anyway, here we go. The reunion. Right off the bat, it is Vanessa and obviously Nick Lachey, and they are sitting there, and the two couples that are sitting with them in this moment are Lydia and Milton, who are loved up and wrapped around each other, which means they're still together, and that's exciting and happy for me. But also, there is a Stacy and Izzy, and they are sitting there, and Stacy is wearing one hell of what you might call a revenge dress, even though she really doesn't have anything to get revenge for. But I just want to notate that now Stacy is dressed like she is dressed to slay, and I really did feel like her fashion choices told us a lot about where she was coming from at the end of the show. And if her fashion choices tonight are telling us anything, she's not here for bullshit. She is making the final impression. She's letting everybody know how it goes. And yeah, I'm interested. I can't wait to hear what she has to say. Not only are Milton and Lydia still together, but it is going so well that his family has fully embraced her. He says his parents are softer, that his mother calls just to tell him that she loves him, and like it's just been such a change, and that's awesome. I love that the whole family is evolving with this relationship. That's beautiful. Now, I do think it's kind of silly because after they talk about that, like Nick Lachey is like, so like, what's the best part of being married? This man just told you that his emotionally unavailable parents are now opening up and embracing him in a way that he has never been by his parents. And you're like, what's the best part? Like, duh. I don't know. It just seems so, like, I understand you have a script, but maybe you could flow with the conversation. You are being paid to be a host, and that is part of it, just saying. We do find out that Milton doesn't often clean, but he does pick up his towels. So things are getting better in that situation. And in that, I don't want to say situation, but in that aspect of the relationship. I am so thrilled about this. I feel like this is a better report card than we ever could have gotten. I am just excited for them. So worth the rough start to this season. They had a wedding celebration in Puerto Rico, and her brother officiated, and I am in love with them. I'm in love with them. You know what? So I am not knocking Lauren and Cameron. You guys, if you watch any of my recaps, I suggest you go look at those from season 1. I am a diehard Lauren and Cameron groupie on the show. But then I went and I followed Lauren on Instagram, and she's just not my cup of tea. I adore last season's, and then their names just left my mind. It's Bliss and the guy who didn't pick her, but then went back for a second chance, and that's what fighting actually looks like. Fighting for somebody actually looks like. And then it is, I want to say his name is Brett, and I can't think of, is it Tiffany? Brett and Tiffany? Why is I'm telling you guys, my brain just blanks out. But last season, I felt really strongly about two couples. I loved Lauren and Cameron on season number 1, and I felt like we were desperately missing that this season, and I feel like we got it. I am excited. I love them together, and I can't wait to follow them for like the next 6 months because I might get aggravated and unfollow on socials. After a bumpy transition about finances over to Izzy and Stacy, they're kind of pressing him, like, why didn't you say something? And she's like, yeah, you mentioned it to other people. And he's like, well, we never really had the conversation. She's like, yes, we did. And I asked you if there was something I need to know. And he's like, well, it was paid off. It was just bad credit. I didn't know that the score would matter that much. And there's like a bit of untruth in his air, right? And they're just pressing him on different things. And then they're like, what happened afterwards? And now I have paused it. I don't know what he's about to say, but Vanessa asks, what happened afterwards? Did y'all date? Stacy immediately says, mm-mm. So the answer is no. But Izzy can't just give us a no. He's giving us oh, well, then see the day after. And it's like, this is what he did. He spins, over-explains, talks circles, hoping you'll forget the question. I'm interested to see what actually happened because I would think the answer is just no. He was kind of a dipshit about things. She moved on. Everything's over. But he's acting like there's more to it. And so let's go find out. So he explains, or they kind of explain, that they agreed to take like a week or so, like just some time. Let's just process and come back together. And then he says after 3 or 4 days, it was extremely hard because he wanted her and he missed her, but he didn't know what was going on. He didn't know if she was his fiance. He didn't know if she was his girlfriend and all this other stuff. They start talking. He can tell something's off, which usually when Izzy can tell, it means that Stacy is point blank spelling it out for him. But okay. So he asked her, are you into this? She said no, and he never spoke to her for a year. That's the story we just got. Now we're stopping there for a second because I want to say this. I find it very interesting that he is talking about this week of pain and not knowing what was going on and how he just wanted to be with his person. But on the same day as the wedding, when he was like in front of people, like, oh, giving her kisses and acting like they were still a couple and everything was fantastic, he was bad mouthing her, talking about how she's 33 and unmarried and she keeps failing and maybe this is why. It's not like, I mean, like, did he call her names? Not in that clip, but like the way that he spoke about her was so negative and with such negative connotations. Like, you're already trashing her hours later, and then she might not know that. She's not calling him on it now. So I'm guessing she doesn't know that yet. But what is interesting is if that is his vibe, then I don't blame Stacy for not wanting to be involved with it. I am sure, just like we as an audience can see him project one thing when he's clearly feeling something different, she can pick that up in person when she's with him. It's very interesting to see them not on the same page because she's like, I felt like we need to start over from ground zero. So she's saying like she didn't end it. She just felt like they need to start completely over. And he was like, if that's what you're making me do, I don't want to do it. That doesn't sound like a man willing to fight, willing to walk through the fire for you. That sounds like a dude who's like, if I don't get my way, I'm walking away. That is the opposite of fighting for somebody. We just brought out Johnny and Chris. Now, Johnny looks beautiful. Her gown is stunning and it fits her to a T. I want to say this. Earlier when Johnny was brought up, Stacy made like a grimace like, which was basically the same energy of pray for her from earlier. And just now when it was brought up, she again made a face. And when Johnny came out, she made a face. But Izzy's energy is very different. It is not the energy that was wanting to shred her like before. Why? Because now he doesn't have to worry about Stacy. And so all of that over denial and that over aggressive, like it was nothing and you meant nothing and I don't like you and I never liked you, doesn't have to exist. I'm also guessing, as I mentioned, that he already knows he sunk that ship, so he doesn't feel like he has to break them up either. He can just relax now. Johnny and Chris come out and they are not together anymore. And I have to say, like, I mean, apparently Chris left from that party basically almost immediately, went out of state to a wedding, met another girl, moved on, and ghosted Johnny, which is wild. For his part, to give him credit, he is taking full responsibility and he is like, I don't do well giving people news that I don't want to hear. And I did love her. And Vanessa is like, well, would you cheat on somebody you love? And he's like, apparently, yes. And that's terrible. And I feel awful. And I mean, I know I'm supposed to be with the girl I'm with now, but it is a bad situation. And so I guess like in that way, he is not ducking that responsibility. He is being fully transparent. He's not like, well, she had hurt me, and so this is how I moved on. He's not blaming the conversation he had with Izzy, though I do have to wonder if that wasn't needling at him when he moved on. But yeah, and Johnny says well, I think she said we both found who we're supposed to be with, and we found out that she has a boyfriend. And anytime she at all says something positive about her life, Stacey kind of, it's like, Jesus, calm down. Like, you're, God, like, you don't even want Izzy. You're over it. Why? Why is it still in you to this level? It's just a shame. We are moving on because from that to where we are now, Nick just was like, I didn't realize there was so much tension. And I think they're going to show us a montage. Let's go find out. Girl, there is no self-reflection and growth in Stacey. She's like, you brought that upon yourself. The way I treated you, like in that party, you brought that on yourself. It is like classic. Somebody who is abusive, disgusting, and awful, then turning around and being like, well, maybe you shouldn't have triggered me. Okay. Listen, if you're a grown-ass woman who feels secure in yourself, like you want to pretend and you like to project, then you wouldn't be bothered by little comments and you wouldn't be bothered to like stoop to that level. But you didn't just take it to little comments. You were ugly and disgusting in that party, feeding off of her blood in the water. And then to stand by it is just gross and not at all surprising. I love that even though they're not together, Chris and Johnny are chatting during like Stacey's like, no, this is my fault, and if you come after Stacey, you get what you deserve. Hey, Molly. And they're just like chatting. I think that she might have apologized to Chris, like, I'm sorry you're having to hear this, and he's like, no, it's fine, and like she's like, this is a lie, and he's like, yeah, I know, obviously, kind of stuff like that. Like, it's interesting that they are having a supportive little conversation. And then Vanessa's like, y'all are talking while she's talking, what's going on? Like, whatever. I like that Johnny, unlike Stacey, is oh, are you okay, baby? Is taking some responsibility for her part in it. She is saying like, I felt deceived, but I definitely was petty and could have handled things differently. Stacey's not having any part of it. Like, none of this is her fault. At all, point blank, period. Not Stacey. She's perfect. Ew. Okay. Sure. People are people. So apparently there was a makeout between Johnny and Izzy. Izzy has apologized for her. He recognizes that he was acting like a complete ass that night, and then they kind of tried to see if it would work out. But he wasn't quite over Stacey because it was literally a week after they broke up. Okay. Now, as far as Johnny goes, I can almost see this. I don't really understand it. He treated you horribly, but he's telling you he's sorry. You had a lot of feelings for him. It's hard to just walk away. I don't know. I kind of was worried about that, but apparently it did not work out long term. They made out in the Jeep and they moved on. Now, Stacey's like, I mean, I was surprised. The things he said about her, yeah, that's a reflection on him. Now, I don't know if what she means is the fact that he would make out with somebody like that is a reflection on him, which is what I think Stacey means. But the reality is it's a reflection on him that he was talking trash about somebody he was actually interested in and really cared for. And that he didn't feel like he could tell Stacey or have genuine emotions about a breakup that had just happened, despite the fact that in every other episode and every other season, these people have been very respectful of these cross relationships. Stacey would not have had it, did not tolerate it, and he could see that on like the writing on the wall. He knew he better not cop to any of it. So he was like, she's nothing. In fact, he overshot his shot by calling her just a pod girl at one point, right? So that is interesting. And then Stacey just kind of implied that he has made out with multiple people and she's heard a lot of it. And I think that that is more a dig at Johnny. She's trying to make sure Johnny knows that she's not special, except that Johnny has moved on. She's with somebody outside of the cast. So like, why do you care? Everybody is dating somebody else. And at some point, Izzy and his date and Stacey and her date all wound up in a cooking class together in a group making paella, which is spelled such a weird way for what it says. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Izzy's like, we're good friends. That's my girl. Like, nothing's changed except, and I think he implies that they don't bang, which obviously, but like, the way that Stacy rolls her eyes and reacts to like anything he says about Johnny or any other girl, it's just, I don't see that being a good friendship. Let's not. We're bringing out Aaliyah. I'm so excited. Aaliyah is clearly not impressed with her good friend Lydia, who was going to be her auntie to all her children. Just saying. But in fairness, apparently the producers and Uche and Lydia all had a conversation where Uche and Lydia were like, we do not want to date each other, so we're good. And the producers were like, you just can't tell anybody else. And then only at a certain point in the experiment did the producers allow them to share when they went to whatever, however they wanted to. So I think that that's an interesting thing because it did feel like lies coming from Uche, but apparently he was like bound to confidence about it. And also it felt like lies coming from Lydia, who again was bound by like confidentiality, couldn't say anything. So that's interesting. And when asked if Aaliyah felt like it was fair or right, she said yes, she just wishes that they could have been honest earlier because she would not have bonded with Lydia in the way that she did. And I think that that's a very fair statement because what really set them up to fall apart was that once they could talk about it, Lydia then opened up to her friend and like just poured it all out with her friend going, no, 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 you know, like, and I feel like that was just like a disaster that happened probably because of the producer's decision to make them stay quiet as long as they did. So maybe perhaps we got the clearest confirmation that they kind of knew each other were going to be there, because after Aaliyah spells it out, and I love Aaliyah, and I have mentioned this when talking about her, she spits facts. I'm always amazed when I watch these things. I think because of the way my mind works, like once we have a conversation, it's there for a while. It's pretty imprinted. I think the only person that doesn't really exist with that anymore is my wife, and I feel like it's because I trust her in a way that I don't feel like I have to recall things perfectly. But I have really good recall, like pretty much like a movie. So if we have a conversation, especially a confrontation, and later on you misquote it, I can quote it. I'm like, nope, that's not what happened. You were sitting here, I was sitting there. You said this, I said that. You said this, I said that. A cat walked by. You said this, I said, you know what I mean? Like the whole thing is in my mind. And I feel like Aaliyah has that because Aaliyah, she did that to Uche a couple times. Like, yeah, but then you brought this up and then you brought up Milton. And then, you know, and just now she was like, okay, we had a conversation off, like outside of filming, and you said, and like kind of pinned it down to where it's like, you cannot say it didn't happen, right? So instead of saying that didn't happen, Lydia says, in November of 2021, we had this like, hey, did you see that they're casting? Oh yeah, I did see they were casting conversation. Okay. So you did talk about it. You both talked about this casting. And then she said, as far as being like, ooh, I have this bad feeling, it doesn't feel right. It wasn't a hope. It wasn't like a prediction of like, ooh, I'm going to see somebody from my future and it's going to be meant to be. It was like, ooh, something feels wrong. Now, if you are feeling like something feels wrong because you might run into an ex and you had a conversation literally months ago about how they're casting a dating show in your area, come on, let's all put deductive reasoning together. They knew. They both knew. But that doesn't, you know, it's funny because Uche was quick to be like, she knew I was coming. She came for me. But actually, he's just as complacent in it. They had a conversation where they talked about the casting. Milton is talking on the shit I've been saying, right? He's like, listen, what I will comment is on my wife's character. She's fucking amazing. I will also comment on Uche. He wants to act like we're friends. We ain't friends. He was weirdly obsessed with my relationship with Lydia. I've been saying that. I said that repeatedly. Every time he was trying to needle in, Milton was like, I'm not talking to you. This doesn't feel right. You're not my friend. Like, it was obvious. Yes, Milton. I love Milton. I have chills. That child, because Milton is a child, just said that this is all about getting past the detractors. People are not going to want you to be happy. They're not going to want to see you succeed, and you just got to get past it. And if it's real, you will. And the beautiful thing is, that is what is exactly how he is seeing things for exactly what they are. Because Uche did not want Lydia happy. He did not want her successful in this experiment. He was mad that it didn't work for him for whatever reason, and he couldn't blame himself, so he blamed her, and he wanted to burn it down. And Milton saw it and was like, no, no. So Lydia just now said she applauded Milton for that scene, that she actually saw that scene where he set his boundaries and was very like, nope, this isn't happening, which answers my question. The show has come out, and at this point they are actually able to see it. So if they chose to watch the show, the entire show, all of the scenes, then they have seen it, which means that Stacey saw, if she watched it, she saw Izzy come after her for being 33 and single and failing with every 45-year-old rich dude. Ooh! Okay, Aaliyah has a partner she's very happy with. I'm gonna look her up on social media. I feel like if Aaliyah has social media and Milton has social media, those are people I could follow that won't agitate me. Side note, we are about to look at the last time everybody was with Uche. Now, I don't know if that means all the people on the stage or if that means people in general, because if so, those are not going to be good scenes. They're not, because Uche did not redeem himself in any way in his last moments on this show. Yeah, it's terrible scenes. He looks terrible in all the scenes. But what we do find out is that there was a safe word emoji, an oil barrel, and that is what Milton showed Lydia in that conversation right before they left, and then they got the fuck out of there like real quick. It was because she was oil barreling. She needed to get out. That's adorable. Also, at this point, Vanessa Lachey is like, you're wise beyond your years. And actually, I would like to point out that it is a younger generation who is coming up with way more mental health resources and way more communication resources and much more educated in emotional intelligence and regulation and safety. So the idea of a safe word going into an uncomfortable situation is actually something that most young people would probably not find that strange or different, and an older generation, not even that much older, but even 10 years older than him, would maybe not think about. So I think that's beautiful and wonderful and awesome for the future of humanity. Aaliyah dated Uche off the show. Of course she did, because he did not want to give her that chance on the show. He needed her to look like she got rejected, but he wasn't fully rejecting her. But he was still mean and condescending, and apparently she's not the type of girl he normally goes for. Like, what? She's gorgeous. You're an idiot. You're also disgusting. And her comments on how mean and condescending he is are right in line with what he showed us. He showed us who he was and who he continues to be with women. Uche chose not to participate. Of course he did, because they're going to let females speak. And he's not about to be on the same platform where females get to speak. You also find out that he still occasionally texts Milton, and Milton is like, no, no. That Izzy's not a fan, but not because of the way he treats women, because Izzy probably wouldn't see a problem with that. It's the way he treated Izzy, so he's not a fan. And then, like, Lydia basically quotes the last, like, the, hey, show's gonna come on, if you want to talk about anything, like, I'm here. And Aaliyah's like, yeah, I got the exact same text message. Ew. You went on TV and blew up your game, sir. JP and his scumbag self is blaming the cameras and being shy, not knowing what to do, completely ignoring the fact that he was all like, I felt like you were fake because I didn't like your makeup, which he made several passive-aggressive, disgusting remarks about in Mexico. Thankfully, Taylor does bring it up. She's like, you could have talked to me. He's trying to blame her. You didn't want to be there. She's like, you didn't want to be there. You didn't speak to me. You blamed the cameras. You blamed my makeup. You, like, whatever. Like, I'm glad she's not letting him get away with it. Good girl. JP has this, like, oh, shucks, kind of like smile the whole time. It's just gross. It's like, you're not 3. You're a freaking man. Grow up, okay? Like, it's gross. And to try to, like, oh, man, his way out of it is just, no. He is toxic. But unfortunately, okay, so here's the thing. We had 3 very toxic men on this show. JP, Uche, and Izzy, right? Uche was overwhelmingly, aggressively, disgustingly toxic to almost every woman we saw him interact with. Izzy was very toxic and gross towards a girl who he was involved with when it was inconvenient for him. But JP is perhaps the most insidious toxic male on the show because he is almost every guy. I mean, I'm not trying to say every guy is this man, but like he is like every next door neighbor, right? Like he comes off as a nice guy. He smile, oh man, oh, just shy, oh man, it's all American, good guy. And really, his attitude towards Taylor was mean, and it was like he totally just kind of shut her down and then went after her physically and the way that she looked and the way she presented herself. And not even in a way like, look, there's a conversation to be had. If you are like, I guess I don't really respond to that level of makeup. I've never really dated girls who do that much makeup or whatever. If you want to have that conversation, it's a fair conversation because you are getting involved with somebody you never saw before. However, the way he went about it was mean. And to have like people like, I think his name was Connor, be like, I hope my daughter marries a man just like Captain America JP. It's just gross. And that's what I mean. Like it shows you that like people can see that the way Uche behaved was wrong, and people can see that the way that Izzy behaved was wrong, but people are letting JP go because, oh man, he's just a shy white boy from Texas. Nick Lachey is helping JP, who was like, I just wanted to tell her that she looked prettier without makeup, and it just came out wrong. No. You made comments, multiple comments about her eyeshadow. And then when you actually got confronted with like an actual conversation, you were like, I just think that's fake. And I think somebody who wears that kind of stuff is fake. So yeah, I thought you were fake. And then I was like, everything in the pods was fake. Like, no, that's not a compliment that went accidentally bad. And the idea that Nick Lachey is trying to help him, like soft pitch him questions to help him sell it is gross. Oh, there it is, you guys. That was the reunion. I can finally talk about it with you as if we're all on the same page because we are. So let's talk about it. Anything you've been wanting to say to me in the comments but haven't because I was trying to avoid spoilers, drop it down below. I am looking forward to it. I'll talk to you later.